The reality is that 30% of Australians who are eligible for their third dose haven't had it, which means that a year or more away from their second dose, which means protection against infection has largely disappeared.
Those Australians with lower levels of education are less likely to have the third or the fourth COVID jab.
Hybrid immunity, which is a combination of having had an infection plus immunisation, is going to protect us, but the reality is that the virus is evading the immune system, and we already have several variants circulating around the world, one of which is called 2.75.2, which are considerably immune evasive. Whether they're more severe is another matter, but the reality is that 30% of Australians who are eligible for their third dose haven't had it, which means that there's many people who are a year or more away from their second dose, which means protection against infection has largely disappeared, but in fact protection against severe disease is also declining. Not as low as somebody who's not had any vaccination, but it is declining, which means that we've got a vulnerable population. This is an exceptional virus.
And just on that vaccination, Norman, new research actually shows Australians with lower levels of education are less likely to have the third or the fourth COVID jab. So it's affecting a particular subset of the community.
Yep. There's a thing called the inverse care law invented by a general practitioner in South Wales in the UK. And the inverse care law is that the most care goes to those who least need it and the least care goes to those who most need it. And this plays out in everything in healthcare, and it's also playing out in immunisation. So people who are the most vulnerable to the infection itself are not getting immunised. The poorer you are, the more likely you are to have comorbidities. This is a major issue, and we don't seem to... So, in other words, by saying it's not exceptional, and this was a point made on last night's 7:30, a story I did, is by saying it's not exceptional, people say, well, why bother having the third dose? This is just like anything else. When, in fact, the messaging from the government is this is exceptional, this is a serious disease, lots of people die, get your third dose, and when you've had your third dose and you're eligible for your fourth dose, get that one too.
Norman Swan, lots to think about. Thank you.
You're welcome.